And hello once again, YouTube. Today I'm gonna be testing frames per second 1024 while looking at the sky. This is, by the way, way better than my Phenom 6 core. So I'm gonna show you now what I did to the LaserSTool. Today I also fixed this resizing of this color panel. And we also have translations. See, the tool is now in English. And if I switch to Bulgarian, it should load my Bulgarian translations, like so. I also did a bunch of runtime fixes of some other errors and type mismatches, so this thing should be a lot cleaner now. However, this is the thing I cannot also show in game, but I can show the thing about I did for the parallel. So some of you know the parallel. Let me just grab another model here. Some of you may know the parallel is used to make the beams parallel, no matter where it hits. Like so. Those two should be parallel. This, however, will not be the case when I did the settings here. The new option here is called focus margin. This should make the parallel behave as a general optic lens. And far I go from the center, it bends the ray like so. Internally, this works by adding the vector from the hit position to this center here to the beam's direction. So for you to make it behave like a proper lens here, if I place those here, you can see the focus is about there. But now we can adjust that. If we go negative, we will have a concave lens, like so. The parallel beams are spread to the sides. This can be also controlled by wire. Minimum and our maximum start at 0, change per second, and there. And our focus comes from there. See, now I'm writing 0 there. So if I increase this, increase that, decrease that. And we can adjust this using wire mode, like so. If this goes to the middle of this prop, the beam should not be redirected, as a normal lens should also act like that. If we have like spherical light sources, they should be converted to parallel ones. And this is also a bit deadly. By the way, somebody told me that I broke the duping. This was brought to my attention by this guy here, Dexios Amera. Thanks, buddy. And now let's see if this thing can be actually duped. Oh, I should probably weld this to something. This to that. And also this to that. So this thing is actually a whole contraption now, so it can be duped. Damn. our focus is still connected to this wire advanced input. And the laser is still deadly. The next test I'm gonna do for the LaserSTool is spawning my laser feedback. So let me explain briefly what this thing does. You have a wire expression tool with our references of laser beam width, laser damage, and laser, what was that, force. So every time we read those values from this source here, which is entity constraint 2 of 1, which will be our crystal. So this will read the width, damage and force from our crystal and adjust it accordingly with this little step. So every proportional coefficient is 0.1 multiplied by the error we have in all those three. And here in the outputs we get output width, damage and force, like so. And if I debug this, the outputs are straightly written into this laser here. So you can see this thing is actual dimmer. So if I burn this, when I tilt this forward, for example, the output beam power should be reduced. This should be read by the crystal and calculated by this E2 here. Then this laser's properties will be automatically adjusted, so this beam power should remain constant. Ouch! This is very, very deadly. What was that? Oh, this is just the test, so we can debug this also. Boom. This is what we actually read from the crystal. So if we tilt the dimmer a bit, like so, our input beam should also grow to reach our three references. Here with PW, PD and PF are the actual parameters of this output beam here, and the OW, OD and OF are the parameters of the input beam generated by this laser. And this is the best way to test the wire part of this add-on. See that? See how it's automatically adjusted. We can also, I don't know, put a refractor here. Let me just grab some other probe there. we go. Did I hit reflector? Oh. Oh well, errors happen. This should do just fine. So this, aim to this, then Q, hit E, then elements and refactor. Bam. And this thing should be, oh, there is the actual, let me just put it like so, not to kill myself. So why are we reflecting? Oh, that's because the reflective index is 0. Refracting index is 0. It should refract using only this here surface, because this actually works in hit surface mode. If I check that, it will go straight to the refraction algorithm. If zero mode is unchecked, it will actually read the refraction index of the material and use it in place of this refract index here when it's set to 0. So our entity indeed works correctly. Our center is right about here. Oh well, close enough. Goes to the center here and comes out. So what can we do with the refractor, you say? Many things. We can adjust the refraction ratio, and this will reduce this beam's power, like so. This is a reduction coefficient, so 0 means disabled and 0.5 means half the power. So we here go from full the power, we go straight from into the entity with half of the power, and we come out with the 1/4 of the power, which is correct in this case. Oh, only index and ratio are my inputs. Do I have outputs? Yep, index and ratio. So should we also Then our index can go from there. And this is set to 0, which will read the index from the entities material. If I increase this thing, it will go to 0.06, which is less than the air refractive index. So the reflection in this point is actually the correct behavior, because we come from a denser medium. We try to go to a lesser dense medium, which is that, with 0.06, which is less than 1. So we should reflect from the interface, and that's exactly what we get. Let's continue increasing, and I'm gonna put here 0, a maximum of 4 with change per second 0.2, I guess. I don't want to wait. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me see if this thing is actually correct. The interface angle of this material is 49.91 degrees. So there, our angle becomes less than 50 degrees. So we refract. Like so. From air to something less dense than air, then it goes out. And if it goes like 0.05, this is a bit denser than the air. About there is the glass. So this thing should behave as glass now. This, however, as I call it, a centralized duping post-entity paste configuration. This should always work now, unless something really bad happens with wire mode or advanced duplication, which I highly doubt it. And that's about it, the new features of the laser tool. Hope you guys like those. This is there we go. Let's enable safety, and I bet it will propagate. There we go. I think we have safety. Bam. And ow, 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 and I'm dead. So, thank you guys for being with me to show you the new features. Have fun, see you next time, and happy lasering!